morning once again. My name is Paul Kumi, and today I'm the one going to take you through the Azure Site Recovery. So as my colleague Nora did mention, we are in a digital space, and one or the other, we are all using IT services to run our businesses. Okay. And one thing we all have to get to know is that there is something like a downtime, which is inevitable. It's something that is going to come. And as much as we are even given 100%, we try our best to even achieve 100% uptime and continuous running. There is always a possibility of a 0.00001%, which means a lot, that our system will run into a problem. Factors that probably we might not have control over, it could be external factors that we cannot control, and that we have to always be prepared for that. Okay, that is where Azure Site Recovery comes in. And to find out if anyone of us here have not heard of a site recovery or a DRaaS site before. I hope you all have knowledge about it, how it works, for we are all gurus in it. So we are just going to refresh our minds on it. It's not anything. We're just going to refresh our minds on it and just going to show you how Azure, Microsoft Azure, is able to help you achieve this disaster recovery at the minimum cost and also with the flexibility and easy for you to deploy. Okay. So without wasting my time, we are going to do more of a demo. That's what this session is all about. So we'll do some few slides just to give us a brief understanding of what we are coming to do, or so that when we dive into the demo, at least we will have a brief of it and be able to move seamlessly along with it. Okay, so we have Azure Site Recovery. What is Azure Site Recovery? It's a cloud-based business continuity and disaster recovery solutions. When we talk of a business continuity and a disaster recovery, what are we trying to say here? What we mean by business continuity and a disaster recovery is that we are in the IT sector, or we are using systems, IT systems, and we have the belief, should I use the word believe? No. Like, we always have to plan ahead because our systems are running all right. We are trying to hit the 100% optimum or zero downtime, but there is always a 0.0000001% chance that we might get hit or our systems will go down. The question is, if we go down or something happens, what do we do? Do we end there, or we start all over again? Or we have to find a way to just start the process or to make our business keep on running. And that is where the business continuity and disaster recovery comes in. It is a process and also a tool. We make use of a tool. The tool that we are going to use here is the Azure Site Recovery to help us achieve the business continuity. So let's come with this. Let's say you have you're an IT guy. We are all IT guys. We have basic ideas. On a Friday night, all your systems, your applications, everything is running fully. They are operating. Actually, on Friday, you even left office early, like 3:30 Friday night. It's a guy, it's a lady, want to go and chill, go and have good time with your family. Throughout the weekends, everything is fine. On the Monday morning, you wake up early in the morning, preparing to go to work. All of a sudden, you get calls from your MD, your subordinates, even national service personnel that you are working with. You get calls from. At that moment, you panic. What exactly is happening? Okay, from my experience, definitely, since I've seen a national service or my subordinate call, before I'll call the MD, I prefer to call the national service to get to know, because it means something has happened. But I have to get the idea of what exactly it is. So I'll call my subordinate to find out, hey, I've seen these calls all over. What exactly is happening? And he gives you a brief of it. Now our systems are down, boss. Nothing is working. Nothing is actually responding. So what exactly happened? He said, boss, we have been attacked. Nothing. We can't even access our service. We can't do anything. At that moment, the question of what happened is there. But critically, you have to keep your business running. So what do you do? What should we do? That should be the question. Is there a way for us to come up again? Having this brief understanding of the issue at hand, you'll be able to call your boss, because at that moment, you know your MD will be at a high level. In fact, he's really, really hot. The systems are not working, and definitely it's going to mount all the pressure on you. But once you know what you have at the background, immediately you call him, he asks, what has happened? Our systems are not working. You tell him, boss, we have been hit. And don't worry, we will be able to come up to keep running whilst we get time to investigate and do the audit to find out what exactly happened. He said, okay, then do it fast. Bring us online. Let's work so that at least we'll meet and be able to do an audit of our infrastructure and see what exactly happened. That is where your disaster recovery comes in. Okay. But how often do we even test our DR? That is the issue. If it's not actually functioning well, at this time, this is the time you're even going to look for, hey, we were supposed to even add this switch to this place. Is the bandwidth that we've allocated to that place enough to be able to support our application? Is it going to run fast? Is it going to run? All these questions come into play. But with the Azure Site Recovery, all these things are off. You don't have any problem. All you just have to do is just to do some few clicks and you are up running in the cloud and everything is running smoothly for you. Okay. So what does the Azure Site Recovery tends to achieve? It's going to give you the business continuity and disaster recovery solution. As we've said, I've just listed earlier on, it's going to help you replicate your workloads to the cloud. It gives you the data resilience. Make sure that your data is always intact. It gives you your RTO and your RPO. That is the recovery time object and recovery PO target. So it makes sure that at least the time of you being down and being able to start up working is minimized. It's reduced to the minimum level. So once you are hit, probably within some few 10, 15 minutes, you're able to spring to the cloud and start working. Okay. Sometimes this is not just a normal hit like, hey, it's just a power socket that you have to just plug in and it's starting working. This whole infrastructure is down. And if you are able to bring this thing up within some few minutes, that shows that yes, you are on top of it. You are the hardcore IT there. What Azure Site Recovery also does is that it's able to give you a test without distraction to your primary site. So you are able to do a test run of your DRaaS site without it affecting your primary site. Your workers will start working, your colleagues will be working. They will not even have knowledge of you running a test run. You'll be able to test it and make sure that here everything is intact, everything is working perfectly. Okay, and it also gives you this flexibility of failing over. You have the flexibility of failing over easily to the cloud and start working, doing whatever that you want to do there. Aside you doing the test failover, you can do either a planned failover. Probably you decide, okay, now I've done a test failover, everything is working. Within this week or these days of the month, I want everybody to work from the cloud. You will be able to do a planned failover and failover seamlessly to the cloud, and everything is just going to work perfectly for you. Okay. So what are the things that we are able to replicate or we are able to deploy Azure Site Recovery for? On our on-premise, we have these virtualizations, either in a VMware or Hyper-V, we are able to do it. We're able to do a physical server. We are able to also replicate or do a site recovery for you via your Azure VMs that you are running in the cloud. Okay, anything to worry. Yes. This you see here, I have an image, a diagram on the right side, and some few writings on the left side. Let's focus on the right side. On the right side, we have our on-prem, then we have the Azure, then we have the client in the middle. The client are the customers. It could be your internal staffs who are actually accessing your services here. On the left side of this diagram, you see all the resources or the compute that we have here are on, being indicated by having these colorful images, okay, which shows that they are all on and they are all running. Then on the right side, that is the Azure. You see, we have some of them that are on, colorful, they are running, and the other ones are Okay, so the other ones are blank, which shows that they are offline. Okay, so this is just the engine of the Azure Site Recovery. This is what it does. The Azure Site Recovery is a process. Okay, so it has an agent that is installed and a machine in your data center. And this agent copies data from your hard drives and then replicates it into the cloud. So it copies or creates a shadow image of your infrastructure, what you want to replicate to the cloud. Then it saves it as a virtual disk. Then now replicate it to the cloud. Okay, so in the cloud, what you see there is you have the virtual disk that is saved in the storage for you. In the cloud, the ASI uses the virtual disk as the backup, and it's not the virtual machine that you are running on-prem. So let's say on-prem, I'm running like 5, 10 virtual machines. Each virtual machine is running like 6 core processor, 32 gig memory, and has a hard drive space of, let's say, 500 GB or 1 TB. They're all running on-prem. The agent creates an image of it, copies it as a virtual disk, then takes that one, replicate that one to the cloud, and it saves it in the storage for you. In the cloud, you are not running your cores, your compute, like your virtual cores are not running, your memories are not running, the storage that you're using at that moment are not even running there. They are saved as an image. Okay, so it's not like we copy your virtual machines here, then we take it to the cloud and it starts working in the cloud, or it starts replicating or start running in the cloud. That is where the cost factor comes in. Because it copies the images as a virtual disk, you have the space or the disk size being small, and it replicates in the cloud, and you pay just a few amounts for just the Azure Site Recovery resources and the small storage that these images are being stored. Let's come to our normal on-prem DR site. A normal on-prem DR site, ideally, whatever that you have at the primary site, you are expected to have exactly the same thing at the DR site. So you have 4 servers in the primary site that are running your applications, your database. You are expected to have the same thing at the DR site. That also should run the same applications in the database. Okay, they all have to be running continuously. So you have a room size, even to the extent that the room size should ideally be the same thing, because all security features that you have here, your firewall, your switches and things, you have to have some at the DR site. The assumption is that your DR site, once you are hit on the primary site, you should be able to start using your DR site without moving anything or without adding anything up to it. So it should be able to run. At that moment, this your primary site is running, which is the production. You are producing, you are getting benefits, or you are getting some things out of it. This is what you are using. The DR site is also running. At that moment, what is the benefit? What is the use of it? It's just in case something happens, that's where you divert to that place. But it is still costing you your light, your air conditions, your security personnel, your firewalls and everything. They are still running there. Your licenses that you have to buy, you are expected to get those things at that place to also be on. But with the Azure Site Recovery, we just pick the image forms of it. We keep it in the storage for you. You are not running the VMs. Okay. The other virtual disk comes in the form of a backup. Okay. And they only come in, your resources or your storages only come into play when you fail over. Okay. At the point when you do either you trigger planned failover to the cloud, that is when the Azure Site Recovery spins all these VMs in the cloud for you. So that is when you have your applications start consuming your storage, your memory, your processor speeds. And that is when you start paying for it. So they are there. They lie there as a virtual disk. You only start paying it once you trigger a failover to the cloud. And that all these virtual machines are now provisioned in the cloud, and you start paying for these resources. So you see, you're able to save a lot because you don't pay for your things being replicated to the cloud. Now you have the minimized downtime with dependable recovery. What the Azure Site Recovery does is, let's say now on-prem, you are not hit by, let's say, a physical disaster like a flood, electrical shock, or but rather it's a ransomware. You are once you are attacked, whatever that is also replicated. Probably you were attacked on Friday. It's run through the weekend, Saturday, Sunday. Definitely that replication or that attack will definitely be replicated to the DR site if you are running on-prem here. Okay, and let's say on Monday that you find out, if you want to now rely on what you have at the DR site, definitely it's also affected. But the Azure Site Recovery is able to give you different RPOs, okay? The recovery point in time that you are able to select the clean version of it to run in the cloud. Once you are doing the failover, it gives you the opportunity to be able to select the clean version of it to run it in the cloud. Aside you getting the clean one to run in the cloud, where your customers or your users will now start consuming, the affected ones, you are able to now use that one for your auditors to do their audit, to find out what exactly happened. Where did the attack start? Okay, so aside you now getting your resources to run cleaning in the cloud, you're able to get a fact where you're able to spend for your auditors to do their audit and come out with what exactly happened. So it also helps you with your investigation. That is one key thing about the site recovery. So this exactly what we see here is what we will try to go through in our demo. We are going to mimic what we have here, the Hyper-V, our virtual on-prem server. We will have the agent installed on the on-prem server. Then I'll do an application to the cloud. Then we'll do a test failover. We'll do a plan failover. Then if times permits us, we will be able to failover back to the on-prem and try to just run all these scenarios. So in the site recovery architecture overview, these are the key components that we have there. We have our VM, either being a VM or a Hyper-V, which is the physical server, who could be the on-prem service that we run currently. Then we will have the Azure VM replication appliance or the process server, which we will have to run on our on-prem infrastructure. And that serves as the agent, which pulls out or creates a virtual copy of our infrastructure and now replicates it to the cloud. Okay, through the configuration server, we're able to get a target environment, which is the Azure. That is the cloud, and that is what we are going to use. On the right hand side, you see an image with a replication and a failover that is going around. So what you do is, once you have your on-prem infrastructure, you have your Azure Site Recovery, you are able to replicate to the cloud, you do a failover to the cloud. Once whatever that hits you, whether being a physical assault, a physical attack, or a ransomware, once you are done with it, cleaning it up, you'll now be able to fail over back to the on-prem and start running peacefully. So that's where you see the loadings and being in a circular form. You're able to go to the cloud. Once you are done, you're able to come back to the on-prem and make use of it. Okay, so these are some of the key cost considerations. You only pay for the application cost at the initial stage. You only pay for the application cost, that's the appliance, the agent that you are using, and the storage, okay, which is very minimal. Then the storage and the compute usage only comes in when you do the failover. Then you have the AR as this comparatively to our traditional DR. This is cheaper, and this is very cost effective. Okay. Okay, so I think that will be all for the slides. Without wasting much time, I want us to look at our demo. Okay, the demo on-prem, I'll show you my environment, what I have in place, and what we intend to achieve today. We are looking at setting up an application that is doing the process server, how to do the process server installation. Then we will start our initial application. Then we'll do a test failover. Then we'll perform a plan failover. Then we'll fail back to our on-prem. Okay, these are the processes. If time permits us, we'll be able to go through all of these. And my infrastructure currently on-prem, I have a Hyper-V that is running. I have virtual machines, and I've also done the process server configuration. Then in the Azure, I've already created my resource book. I have my virtual network that is running, a storage account that is created already. a public IP address, network security group, then Azure Site Recovery Vault, which are all created. Okay, so with the Azure Site here, in the initial state, first with the resource group, it's needed. The virtual network is needed when you are doing a failover. So what it means is that when you are spinning a failover to the cloud, you need a virtual network to be able to assign IP addresses to your VMs. The storage account at the initial stage is what you use to store the virtual copies of your on-prem infrastructure. The public IP address is only used when you've done a failover to be able to access your resources, depending on the strategy, whether you're doing a site to site or whether you want to access it via the public IP address. That's where the public IP address will come in. Then the network security group is a security feature that is to help you to control access or to fight against any unforeseen circumstances that will hit you. The Azure Site Recovery Vault is the main tool that we use, and those things have already been spent there. So I will end my slides here, then now share my lab environment to be able to go through. So on the Azure portal, I think I have some recent activities. That is what they are showing here. When you open it for the first time, these are the things you see here. You don't even see anything. Here are the resources. What we are going to do is, as I said earlier on, we have our resource group that has already been created. So I'm going to show you my resource group. This is my Azure dashboard. Then I also have my on-prem servers that are running here for access them via the remote desktop. I have my host 1 server and I have host 2 server, just to make sure that we'll be able to cover enough of the labs here. So on the host 1, I have 2 VMs that are running on it. Okay. 2 virtual machines that are running. I'm having the host 1, which is currently off, but has already been replicated to the cloud. I have host 2, VM2 that is running. That one, I haven't replicated it to the cloud yet. So we'll do the replication for that one. We will learn how to add it up and also start the initial replication for that. Then I have my host server 2, which we are going to use that one. That one, we will learn how to create our process servers on it. This one hasn't been onboarded or hasn't been configured to the cloud yet. So this is the on-prem. We'll learn how to now create our site recovery on this one, this host server, and has only one VM that is running at the moment. Okay. So we'll go to our Azure Site Recovery. Here we have our resource group. When I click on the resource group, this is the resource group that we have our RMG Masterclass. Okay, that is our resource group that has been created, and the resource group currently hosts all our resources that we are using for this lab. When we come to the recovery site vault, I've already created this recovery site vault, which has my VMs that I've already replicated to the cloud. Then I have, this is my virtual network that I've created. Once we do the failover to the cloud, we'll be able to access IP addresses via this virtual network. I have my storage account that has been created here. Okay, I have 2, and I created it in a different region. Basically, we are going to use this one. That is the storage Masterclass ESR. That is what we'll be using. Okay. Public IP address, as I said earlier on, will come in when we are done and we want to access it. I've already created one here that is working, and I'll be able to assign it to my VM once I'm done creating it. So we'll go straight to the Azure Site Recovery Vault. What we'll have to do is, this has already been created, and let's go through the process of creating this. It's just some few seconds, and you are done. Okay, so you go to the create. Here you select the resource group. Here we are using this resource group. You give it a name. So let me say demo Masterclass. In terms of redundancy, we'll be able to select that encryption, vault properties, the networking, whether we should allow all public networks, tags, the recovery. It's just this process. Once you go on it, you click on the create. It takes just a few seconds and you are done creating it. Okay. So I have created one already. So I will use this. Once you are done creating it, then you will have this page. This is where the main actions will be taking place. This is the main engine where you'll be doing a lot of things. So we go to the site recovery. As I said here, we have the site recovery that is created. We are going to learn how we will be able to add sorry, you also see one page like a static page, nothing is moving. A static page, nothing is moving. I'm coming. So wait, no, just show that to me. It's fine for me. That's fine. When I change it, you see it. On the recovery service vault, this is what we have here. So our first thing is we are going to look at how we provision. We add a host to it. Here, when you come here, you have the Azure virtual machine, you have the VMware machines to Azure, you have the Hyper-V machines to Azure. So as I said earlier on in my presentations, these are the resources that will be able to replicate to the cloud. Either your resources are in the Azure, or either they are running on a Hyper-V, that is the VMware, or they're using a Hyper-V, okay, or they are running on a physical server. You'll be able to protect all of that there. Our lab here is we are using a Hyper-V machine to Azure. So we are going to prepare our infrastructure, which is going to be, we are going to run this one on our host 2. Okay, so here I will go to prepare infrastructure. Then at the prepare infrastructure here, I'll be able to say there is a deployment planner. The deployment planner, what it does is it helps you to be able to, before you start this process, it just gives you a fair idea of how much it's going to cost you when you move to the cloud or when you start running the Azure Site Recovery. It gives you a fair idea, an estimate of it for you to have a fair idea of how much it's going to cost you per monthly within a year, how much it's going to cost you for you running Azure Site Recovery. Okay, here you have to do the deployment planner to give you all these estimates. It takes into consideration the network bandwidth, the storage, and other requirements to give you that fair estimate. I will select here that yes, I have done that, and I know how much it's going to cost me. Okay. Then here I'm going to select the next thing is for me to look at my source settings, whether I'm using a system VM to manage my Hyper-V. No, I'm not using that. Because I'm not using that, then here it's going to ask me to select either a Hyper-V site. What I'm going to do here is I have to create a Hyper-V site. That is what I'm going to use to connect, or a new Hyper-V site is where I'm going to connect my new host server to it. So I'm going to create a Hyper-V server. And this one, I'm going to name it host 01, no, 02, sorry, Hyper-V. I click on OK. So it's going to create the job. It takes just a few seconds, less than a minute. So that is created now. Now, once I've created, this is the site that I've created. I have to now attach a host to it. That is the Hyper-V host. And that is where my on-prem server comes in. Okay. So when I click here, this is the options that it gives me. It's going to give me the deployment install. First, I have to make sure that my server that I'm running on-prem is running either Windows Server 2020, 12, R2 or higher. Okay, and the question is, am I using the proxy settings to access the internet? No, I'm not using that. Then I have to now download my installer and run it on-prem. Okay, for me to have a fair idea, I'm going to access this via my host server. so that I'll be able to, once I do the download, I'll be able to do my installation right away from there. So on the host server 02, which is this, I come here. So I need to access my server. This is just for me to have to create it, make it easy so that I don't have to copy the deployment installation from one side to the other, just for me to access it easily. Go through with it. Through the same process here. Site recovery. And select yes, that is done. No, I'm not using it. Okay, this is created already. So I'm going to do host 02 Hyper-V. So that is done. I'm adding my host to it. Okay, so I'm going to download this. That is the deployment. And I'm going to run it. This, you see, download the vault. This is a registration key. Once we get there, we also need that, then we'll download it. Now we have to do the installation of the site recovery provider. Okay, that is it, so that recommended one, so it gets an update. List. The installation, that is the installation location. You can choose to change it. I'm going to maintain that. I'm going to maintain that. Then this is it. Now I've started installing my Azure Site Recovery agent. So this is going to go through to install the agent and everything on my server. And once I'm done with it, for it to get a connection to my Azure Vault in the cloud, I will have to, so now I have to register it. And I click on register. See, it will tell me it needs the registration key, and the registration key is what we have here. We have to download it, the vote registration key, to be able to register this host server to this vote. Now, when I open it, this can be found at my downloads. So I'll go to my site recovery registration wizard, browse to it, download, and import it. And this is automatically going to populate the details of my Azure Site Recovery, including the subscription, the vote name, then the site name that I created. I'll click on next. I have to connect directly to the Azure without a proxy server. That is, I'm not using a proxy server. If you are using a proxy server, then you have to go through this option to add the address, the port, the user details, and everything on it. I'm not using a proxy server, so I'll go directly. Then I'll click on it. And this will run and get my host server connected. Okay. So here I'm going to leave this one here. Then we'll continue from, because this will take some time. So we'll continue from the other side where we have our host server already provisioned. So this is it. So we'll come back here. So once you have the registration is done, okay, we'll go back to check on it. Once it's done, this is where you will come at this stage. Okay, here I've already added this host, but once it's done, then you have to now continue to replicate. Now you have to select the virtual machines that you are going to replicate to the cloud. So it's going to take you to this page, okay, or you will come to the replicated items. Once the site recovery is connected, you will now have to come to the replicated items here, okay. To now come and say that we are doing a Hyper-V machine to the Azure. Already this VM is already connected, okay, and we will also use that one for a different lab, because when we are doing starting the new replication, it takes some time. So we'll go to the enable the Hyper-V manager to the Azure. What is our source location? That is the Hyper-V VM cluster. You see the one that we created is this. It's still connecting. Okay, I'm sure by now it's done. No, it's not done. Yeah. So we use this one. This is what is already done, the Hyper-V virtual machine class that has already been provisioned earlier, just to buy us time. Then we'll click on next. When we come here, we are supposed to have a storage account. The storage account per my prerequisites, I said you have to have that one in place already. So we will have to select it. That's the storage account. I've created a storage account. This is my post-failover resource group, the resource group where the failover, once I do a failover or the virtual machine spins in the cloud, this is the resource group that they are going to be. Then the deployment manager, this is I'm using a resource manager. The storage account details, that's the type in the details. The virtual network, so I will need a virtual network where once I'm doing a failover to the cloud, these are where they are going to get their IP address and will be able to access it over the internet. I'll click on the next to go to the virtual machine selection. So this is it. As it stands now, I think my lab, I show you I have 2 virtual machines on the host 1. And I explained to you that I've already replicated the host 1, this VM1 to the cloud, where we also use it for a different lab. Now we are doing the replication, enable replication. We have only the host 0, the VM2 that is currently in place. That one is not replicated yet. So that is the only one that is showing at the moment. So if I have more than 3 and they have not been replicated to the cloud yet, I'll see them here. So now I have the option to select this. And I'll go to next to select replication settings. Which OS type is it running? It's running on Windows. The disk, if it has more than 1 disk, I'll be able to add all the disks that I want the site recovery to replicate to the cloud. At this moment, my VM has only 1 disk. So that is the only one that is selected. Though you select all disks, but that is the only one. It has 30 GB. And this is the VM itself. So I'll go to next. Then the replication policy. I've already created a replication policy. Okay, I've created a replication policy. My replication policy is saying I should do a copy. The copy frequency is 5 minutes, which indicates that I'm going to get my RPT, that's the recovery point time, right? I'm going to get it every 5 minutes. I'm going to have that 5 minutes interval to be able to do either to select the copy that I want to either fail over to or to run in the cloud. And I'm having my recovery point retention 2 hours. So within 2 hours, I'm copying every 5 minutes and it's going to retain it for 2 hours. So if we are to just do a fair mathematics, it means we will have like 60 copies. I think if my math is correct, within the 2 hours. Okay, that's correct. Then the app consistency, every 1 hour, I'll get one app consistency snapshot for it. Then my initial replication should start immediately. Encryption of data stored on Azure at the moment is off. Then I'm not using a VM settings. So now this is my policy. This is what I'll also take us through how to create a policy. Now I'll do a review and I'll enable replication. So this is also going to start running. Enable replication, and once you click on the enable replication, it will take you through the process. It will tell you what it's doing at each time. This is doing the pre-check. It's identifying the replication target, then it will enable the replication, start the replication, then update the provider starts. Okay, we'll leave it here. Then now go back to the other one that we already have it in place. I'll take you through how to create the replication policy, as I said earlier on. Okay. So when we want to create a replication policy, we'll come to manage here, site recovery plan. Okay, so you say enabling protection. It has started, takes some time. This is going to be the recovery. We are doing the policy. So I have a V. This is the replication policy. So a replication policy, we give it a name. Let me just create one. App-V host. The retention, I'm going to do it 2 days. Disable app consistency no. So I'm going to leave that. I selected the wrong one. This is it. Okay, so the one that I created earlier on is this. So I'm doing a App-V. And I click on it. These are the options. I create a name. The source type is the App-V. The target is Azure. The copy frequency, I have 5 minutes. I have 30 seconds. When I select 30 seconds, it gives me a warning that I can't use this. If I intend to use the premium storage to specify copy frequency greater than, I have to specify one that is greater than what? The 30 seconds. That's if I'm using the premium storage. The storage, we have different types. Okay. So I'll use the 5 minutes. The retention period, I'm using 2 hours. I can increase it. The app consistency, I'm doing 1. I can increase that as well. The initial replication start time, I'm starting right now. And as I said, I'm not doing any VMware settings and it's optional. And that is it. So this is how we create the replication policy. Now let's go and do our first test here. That's the failover. The test failover. Now our VMs are all even ready. We have the tool that is already healthy here and is protected. The VM2 is healthy. Replication policy is healthy, but at this moment, it is syncing. The status is showing is synchronizing, meaning it's now going to even take its first replication. It's now going to do its first replication of your data from on-prem. So at this stage, it's not ready yet. You can't do a failover test on it. That's where you see all these highlights showing in dim, meaning you can't select it. Now this is the one that is ready. We are going to do our first failover test. Okay, this is the VM1. So we have a plan failover. We can do a plan failover. The flexibility I was speaking about, plan failover test, then the failover itself. The difference here is a test failover. With a test failover, you can have a test failover without disrupting your on-prem or your primary server or the main server running. So you can just do it. The main server will be running, and you also have this one spin in the cloud for you to check, do a check of it to make sure that all your data is intact. That is the test failover. Okay. You use the plan failover. With the plan failover, what happens is the plan failover, it has to turn off the on-prem one. It means you plan, this is it, we want to go to the cloud. And what one does is this, it's able to give you the current, it's able to give you the current, like it gives you a zero data loss. It gives you a zero data loss because it tries to synchronize to the current stage before it shuts down the on-prem and start running the cloud one. Okay, but the test one will just use the current RPO that you have. Okay, then the failover normally comes into play. Let's say you are not able to even access the on-prem, there's a disaster, it's even off. So that one you have the option. If the on-prem is still on, you have the option to either shut it down, then spin it in the cloud, or you can even go ahead and spin it in the cloud without affecting the on-prem one. But the idea for that one is that you don't have access to the on-prem one. Something has happened, you don't have anything to do with it. You can't even access it, you can't even use it, or you don't want to use it. So you just move straight to it. So here we are going to do a test failover. This is it. This is the test failover. And with the test failover, so you see we have our recovery point. We are able to choose. We are from the Hyper-V class, this is it to the Azure. The recovery point that I stated on here is using, either we are using the latest recovery point, that is the lowest, or we are doing the app consistency, or we can go to the custom selection. At the custom selection, we can select within this date. I think this is the date that I actually started this lab. So through that, I have these options, this time frame. What is the time now? 11:23. So the closest one is 11:18. I have 11:13, 10:57, 10:22, 10:20. So out of these, and the app consistency, which is every 1 hour, that one is here. So out of these, I'll be able to select any one of them and do my test failover on it. If you are doing the plan failover, you have these options as well to be able to select. No, the plan failover, it used the latest one. Since that one has to sync with it and make sure that you get the zero data loss. So that one, you use the latest one. But the failover itself, you get this option to be able to select. Let's say you are hit. Before you were hit on Friday, by this time, at least you have a lot of replication that has happened. If you use the latest one, you still have the affected VM still running in the cloud. You'll be able to go back to the cleanest one and be able to select that option here. So here I'm just going to use the latest one. Okay. I'm going to use the latest one. My virtual network, as I said, this is where you need it most. I have to select it. Then I'll click on OK. And now it's just going to start my test failover. Now I will need to show you the destruction part, where it is not going to affect my on-prem virtual machine. So this is the registration which is done. So this is it. Let me refresh it again and show this here. So these are the VMs. This is the one we are doing a test failover for. And this is it running here. So it's going to create, I'll also open another tab where I'm going to show the VM at the VM part. Where I'm going to show you the VM in the Azure. At this moment, I have no virtual machine that is running at the moment. Okay, it has started creating this one. You see the name. Now it has started importing the image. That's the virtual disk. Okay, so this is the name. Once it's done, it's going to give you the name exactly as this. Put 01, then MCVM01. Now it is running. This one, what I'm trying to show here is that we are able to do a test failover without it disrupting our on-prem server. So we have our on-prem server that is running here. We have the test failover process that is running and the VM that has started creating here. And it will be able to run without it affecting here. You'll be able to have your test failover without it having any disruption in here. Aside that, we're able to select, we have the option to be able to select even the RPO, the one that is either closest or the one that we feel like it has the clean version of it to be able to run it here. So this is the future of the test failover. If we are to do the plan failover, where I will also start that one, this is going to take some time. So I will let it run here for us to be able to catch up with most of it. We have some few minutes left. So I want to also trigger the plan failover for you to see the option that we have there. Okay. So this is initiating the test failover. This one has already been triggered. This is waiting for its first RPO. So this is also not done for us to start the plan failover. And one good thing about the Azure Site Recovery is this. You know, we implement Azure Site, we implement DRaaS sites on our normal on-prem infrastructure. And some even forget how often do we even do a test failover for it. On even the first day that we are done, we just check to make sure that everything is working and thing. Azure gives you this more like a step-to-step before you even do a plan failover. The first thing, once you are done with your application and everything is there, it asks you to first to make sure that your application is active, to first go through the test failover. Once your test failover is successful, that is when you have the option to be able to do the plan failover or to do the failover. Okay, so you first have to do the test. It becomes more like a prerequisite. You have to do the test failover first before you now go and do or think about doing the plan failover, then the failover itself. If that one is not done, you will not have the option to do the other ones. So it guides you, okay? And this gives you the freedom, like, oh, now we are in the office every day. It's been like 2 months. We are done with it. What should we do? We have to run a test failover to see that everything is okay with it, okay? And this one gives you the option to be able to do that at any time, and you are not going to disrupt your on-prem infrastructure. Okay, you are not going to affect anybody. Okay, this one is not ready, and this is also still running.